The new Nexus 6 is a complete changeover, and it no longer serves as a developer device but more for the high-end consumer. My name is Bharat Nagpal, and today we're going to be unboxing and taking a look at the new Nexus 6. So the box is also pretty different from the previous Nexus generation devices, and it looks really well made. I'm going to quickly cut through and see what all is inside the box. So the first thing inside the box is the new Nexus 6 itself. The device is pretty large in size thanks to the nice and large 5.96-inch display. On the back also, the new Nexus logo looks really fantastic, and the back panel feel and finish is pretty impressive, far better than what we've seen in the past on Nexus devices. I'm going to put the device to the side for the timing. I'm going to go further in and take a look at what all else we get inside the box. So you get a really nice USB wall charger. You also get in-ear style earphones, but they're not really in-ear earphones, they're like angular earphones. You have an inline microphone and a push button and a 3.5mm jack, which is pretty standard. You also get a USB to micro USB cable. It'll be used for charging as well as data syncing. Apart from that, you get a whole host of documentation, your warranties, and a quick start guide. You also get a SIM removal tool, which is great. So that's everything from the box. Let's go on ahead and take a look at the device itself. So the display is mostly the highlight of this device. As you can see, there are not many large bezels around the device, which is great. So you get a nice and large, almost 6-inch display. Now this display itself is a 493 pixel per inch, which means that it is a 2K display, so you get 2560 by 1440 pixels in the 5.9-inch size, which is absolutely wonderful. It is an AMOLED capacitive touchscreen display, which means that you'll be seeing those Samsung-like colors on it. You also get Corning Gorilla Glass 3 over the top, which is fantastic as well, so you are preventing your device from scratches, drops, cracks, etc. Now, while the device is booting up, I'll tell you that the device runs on a new Qualcomm Snapdragon 805 chipset, which is a quad-core chipset on 2.7 GHz, and it has the Adreno 420 GPU. This version is the 32GB version, and it comes with 3GB of RAM, which is fantastic. Over at the back is a 13-megapixel camera, which does offer optical image stabilization, and it also has a dual LED flash, which is positioned in a ring format, which is great. You also have a 4K video recording on this camera, and over at the front you have a 2-megapixel camera, which again is pretty decent. The Nexus 6 is pretty hefty for its size, and it comes in at a thickness of 10.1 millimeters, which is pretty thick if you consider most of the other devices in the market. But the great thing is that it packs in a 3220 mAh battery, which is supposedly pretty good for the device. Now, the minute you power on the device, the first thing you'll notice is that how fluid the whole system is, and this is one of the devices that completely utilizes the full features and the full power of Lollipop. Essentially, the device is designed to exploit stock Android in the best possible way, and Google pushes out stock Android updates to this. When you buy the device, it comes with Lollipop out of the box, and this is for the first time on an Android device. You will not truly like to install a custom skin or ROM because the interface itself looks pretty fantastic. The overall UI is pretty smooth, and if I jump into the settings real quick, and I'll show you that it is running Lollipop, and if you tap on the Lollipop logo a couple of times, you get a Flappy Bird sort of flappy Android game, which is pretty cool if you want to spend some time. Sort of comes with the game preloaded. It's possibly the most difficult variant of Flappy Bird, but you'll get through if you try hard enough. Everything comes stock on this, so you'll see great functionality on the device. Of course, you have internet capabilities, and the camera is pretty impressive on Lollipop as well. You get a bunch of new features, along with the selective focus-like capability that we saw on Samsung devices, as well as the HTC One M8. All these features are now built into the camera, and the Nexus 6 seemingly has a great camera, which we'll be testing out later on. Video playback is really smooth, the display looks fantastic and has great viewing angles.
Ventures is a recently launched company that promises the openness of CyanogenMod and Android and promises a developer support community like no other in our country. My name is Nagpal, and today we're going to be unboxing the Eureka.
It also has pretty good brightness, but once we put it up next to the Note Edge, we saw that the Note Edge had much better brightness, and Samsung is known to have devices with better brightness compared to many of the other devices available in the market, and that comes out true here as well. So the real comparison can be done between the Note 4 or the Note Edge and the Nexus 6. They essentially have the same displays in terms of the kind of resolution. Of course, there is a slight size difference, as well as on the Note Edge there is a tapered edge, which is the key selling point of that device, and the S Pen. So you do have a bunch of additionals on the Note 4, but the Nexus, the way it runs, the way the software runs, totally trumps the Note Edge by a distance at least. In terms of size, it's not too different from the iPhone 6 Plus as well. As you can see over here, the display is the only real difference. More or less the size is the same. Of course, the Nexus is much wider and also much more thicker than the iPhone 6 Plus. Essentially more or less the same sort of pocket consumption will be had either between the Nexus 6 and the iPhone 6 Plus. Now we'll be running the Nexus 6 through its paces and trying to figure out whether or not it makes sense for you guys. So stay tuned for all of those things. Now make sure you drop all your questions and queries in the comment section below, and we'll try and cover as many as we can in the final review, which will be out shortly. Whether it makes sense for India, whether it makes sense for the world, we'll be telling you in our final review. Make sure you check out iGyaan.in, catch us on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and I'll see you guys in the next one.